Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mortgage Coach Friday Mastermind. Every Friday, we are here to connect as a community, talk about ideas, talk about strategies. Today is all about business planning for 2021. I've got my, not wingman, my partner and co-host of the Friday Mastermind, Todd Bookspan. What's up, Todd?
Not a whole lot. Just super excited for today. This is going to be an epic way to end the year and lead into 2021.
Right on, guys. So I've got a couple thoughts, but Todd, I thought I want to do one framing statement, and I'm going to have you kind of take the lead on this, being a guy who's led a team that does over 500 loans a year for a long time, even though your wife runs that team now. I thought between that and being the founder of Win by Noon, having you take the lead would be good. Dan Keller, what's up, dude? This was your idea, so thank you for the idea.
I think it's that time of year, right? And it's so important. I just finished a conference that I do every single November, and it just gets me fired up around this. And I thought it'd be of value to your community. So I'm excited to be on this call with Jeremy and you guys.
Yeah. So as a reminder, everybody, this came because Dan texted me. He's like, Dave, I've got an idea for either the Tuesday call or the Friday call. And I'm like, boom, let's do it. So one, not everybody has my mobile number. You can put ideas in our Facebook group. Like if you have an idea for something, put it in our Facebook group, or you can email me at dave@mortgagecoach. So we're having this conversation because Dan had an idea. Jeremy, J-Force, the one and only. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's happening? How you doing, party people?
Doing good, brother.
Good.
So you two come up all the time as people's favorite hosts. You know, when I'm like, hey, I love the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. I'm like, oh, what's your favorite one? And I hear so often, Jeremy, Dan, and there's others, but dude, you guys are, the rock stars of the rock stars. So thanks for doing this, guys. So what I wanted to frame this around before I hand it off to Todd and, just become the color guy of today's call, I want to just set the stage with just what level of production the industry has done this year. So I'm going to share some stats. This is actually just my Evernotes that you're looking at right now, but I posted some of these numbers in our Facebook group. The numbers came from Mobility Market Intelligence. I call it MMI. It's a service I subscribe to. And just so we're clear on where everybody's at, and again, this is dated about a week ago, so not even through the end of the year, but there's 105 loan officers that have not done a single loan. Now, some of those are bank MLOs that they just got a license because they have one. Some of them are team members that don't put things under their license. There are 167,000 loan officers that have done less than 30 loans. There are 38,000 loan officers that have done 30 to 60. So that's 50% of the market is doing less than that. We got 8% that have done 60 to 100, 7% that have done 100 to 200, 2% that have done 200 to 300, and we have 3,500 loan officers that have done over 300 loans. So just to set the table on what the market's doing and where things are at. So with that said, I want you guys to all just think about that. My takeaway is that loan officers that are using technology and that are building teams are killing it, because you can't close over 100 loans a month sustainably, consistently, and be a healthy person without a team. So I just think part of business planning is, if I don't have a team, is this the year to create a team? If I have a team, is this the year to scale a team? So those are my thoughts. But Todd, why don't you take it from here, and I'll be the color guy. I'll keep an eye on the community. If you guys have questions for either one of these incredible people, let me know, and I'll make sure your question gets into the call.
I think those numbers are just incredible. I mean, certainly it tells us that we all have a lot to be grateful for this year. I like it. Jim Rohn always said, unless you change how you are, you will always have what you got, right? And so this is all about planning today, right? This is about, the people who did 500 plus loans, right? 500 loan officers did over 500 loans this year. That is crazy. But I promise you, the difference between them and the people below is the level of planning that they did, the commitment that they have to planning. And as Dave said, right, we got two of the highest level rock star superstars of our industry and our community, and who I'm super grateful for to have here today. And I think it's just a matter of having that having that plan. So I'm just going to hand it off to you, Dan. Like, where are you at? What are you doing? You just said, hey, every November I go to a conference and I plan. So why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, where I'm at, it's obviously it's the end of November now, but every early November since 2016, I've gone to a conference, and it's just it's opened my eyes to how to plan correctly. And I think there's the purpose of this call. When I texted Dave, I think so many loan officers and business people are mistaken when they goal set. I mean, just look at the success stats from New Year's resolutions. Most of them fail, right? And I think it's the same thing in our industry. If you throw out this year was an anomaly. It was a blessing for a lot of people that were winging it, that kind of fell into a jackpot. But you throw out this year and you look at other years, and I'm not throwing out this year for me personally, because we hired, my coach made me hire in January and February. And had he not done that, my numbers wouldn't be where we're at. I'd be where a lot of people were, having to hire in the midst of chaos versus having a team that was already equipped to handle a little bit more volume than usual. And that was because of our goals that we set in November to grow a team to X number in production. So I think there's two things where people miss it. And Dave and I were talking about this via text. And I think one is they have these goals, but they don't have a vision. And I think the great thing about the business planning and the goal setting that we do in November, and I know Jeremy's a part of the same program, we make sure that our goals are in line with our vision, our 1 year, our 3 year, and our 5 years. So I think that's important. And I think that comes down to really how you see yourself. So in 2015, I never saw myself as a $100 million producer. I wanted to be one. I had no idea what it looked like. And then I got introduced to guys like Jeremy and JJ Mazzo and Jimmy Reed and Nikki Salter. The list goes on. These were $100 million a year producers. These were people that had teams. They were where I wanted to be. And so I think it's so important when you're setting goals that you have a clear idea, a clear picture of who you are, where you're at right now. Just be authentic. Where are you right now? In 2015, I was not equipped to have a team of 7. I didn't know how to lead. I didn't know how to hire, but Jeremy did, JJ did, Nikki did, other people that you guys had in the community on calls did. And so what I did is I reassessed who I was, where I wanted to be, and then I started aligning myself with them. One of the big things I did in 2015 is I stopped hanging around people in my branch. That was big because no one in my branch was doing 100 million. And so what I did is I started hanging around people that were doing 80, 90, 100 million plus. And so I think that's really big. Identifying, being crystal clear on who you are and where you're at and where you want to go. Second, when you're setting your goals, Jeremy's going to get into this, and it's incredible that there is an anatomy. There's a formula around setting goals that works. And there's a lot of other ways that people do it that don't work. When you're setting your goals, it's very important that you're crystal clear on the vision kind of directs you where you're going to be, but your goals are what you do on a daily basis. And one of the things I love about Jeremy is he'll call me on Friday mornings. And prior to this chaos that we were in, we had calls every single Friday morning. And it was like, hey, what are you working on this week? And then we have this list that we're going to go over. It's a sales test. And there's 20 items on there. And it's a yes or no answer. Are you doing this in your business? And if it was a no, what Jeremy and I were doing, we were keeping each other accountable to changing a no into a yes. Just one a month. But every Friday when we talked, hey, what are you working on this week? And so I think being specific on what your goals are and that you're working toward those every single day is big. But the second component is accountability. It's so important that you're held accountable to someone. And then the third part of goal setting where people fail, and I learned this from Jeremy and I learned this from Rick Ruby, is you have to attach a consequence. You have to attach a consequence to that goal, to the accountability. If you don't reach it, what are the consequences going to be? I'll give you an example. My first semester, my first time ever doing this, my coach said, hey, who's the number one loan officer in your community that you don't like? And I'm not going to say him on screen. Jeremy knows who he is. And so I gave that name to that person, to my coach. And he goes, okay, cool. What does that person like to do in his spare time? Does he like sports? He's like Seahawks. And I was like, he's a big soccer guy. And he goes, cool. So if you don't reach your goals this semester, you get to hire a limo. You will be the chauffeur You will pick he and his wife up at his house. You will rent a suite at Quest Field for a Sounders game, and you will wine and dine that particular person. Do you want to do that? And money wasn't the problem. It was more of the ego. I had wanted nothing to do with that situation. And so attaching a consequence to not achieving your goals is really big. So setting realistic goals, having account that you're working toward every single day, having accountability, and then attaching a consequence to that. Those are keys. That's why so many people miss their New Year's resolutions, because they're missing that formula. The last thing that I really want to say before we hand it off to Jeremy, where we get into detail about goal setting is, I learned this a long time ago, and I think this is huge. When it comes to, and I want you all to picture yourself in this situation, the day before the night before a vacation. How productive are you? You're making a checklist, everything that you have to do tomorrow. It's your last day before you leave for a week. You're super productive. You're making all your phone calls. You're getting your team ready. You're running all over town. You're very, very, very productive. The mindset around the day before you go on vacation, when I talk to guys like Jeremy and JJ and all these great loan officers, these high producers, even people out of our industry, their mindset around their vision and their goals, guys, it's like they run their business every day like it's the day before the vacation. And really what's become crystal clear when you hang around big producers, when you hang around winners, high achievers, their business, their goals are more important than the vacation. And see, I think most of us have it wrong where, oh my God, we're going on a week's vacation tomorrow. That's the most important thing. They treat their business like they treat that 1 week vacation. So it's a mindset thing. So I wanted to kind of start off the call with that, because you can set all these crazy goals. If your mindset's not right, and if you don't have the right formula, we're just going to be talking and we're going to waste an hour of your time. And neither Jeremy, you, Dave, or I are interested in that.
Boom.
I think that's so huge.
Go ahead,
I think
Todd.
mindset is always the missing thing, right? I love the fact that you called that out, because if you don't have that vision, if you don't have that belief, and you don't really understand that if you don't drive yourself, no one else is going to drive you, that's pretty huge. Although I did like the consequence. I'm glad you didn't have to take your competitor to the Sounders game. That would have been pretty unfortunate.
Yeah.
Hey, before we bring in Jeremy, I want to just add one little nugget. You talked about having your vision, having your mission, hanging around with people that are doing what you want to do. I want to remind everybody there are going to be some new skills and new habits that you want to develop in 2020 or 2021 and beyond. It's important that when you have a new skill, like I want to learn to use Mortgage Coach, or I want to actually go from not using my CRM to using my CRM, or it could be I think you guys call it the what's the tracker, the daily tracker you guys do?
Greatness tracker.
The greatness tracker. If you're a win by noon person on this, it's tracking things daily, win by noon, whatever that new habit is, you need to have a micro why statement on why you do that. So you have your big company, but when I help people roll out new technology, create new habits, have micro why I'm going to do that, a mission around that, a why I'm going to do that. I find that people that do that documentation and then they have a plan to do the reps to create the new skill are like 10 times more likely to actually pull it off. So I just wanted to throw in that, like at the top, you have everything Dan said. And then for the skills and habits that you need to add, put in those micro why mission statements. And we do have a Mortgage Coach why worksheet. We'll put a link down below. So with that said, Jeremy, I know you've got a lot to share and you just stood up. So it's like game time with Jeremy Forcier.
It was just like, I was like so present. Dan, you have such a melodic, amazing pacing in the way that you speak. I was ready for you to lead it. I forgot that I was even here sharing for a second. I was like getting ready. I got paper, like let's go. So, Dan, feel free to, stop me, start me wherever you want. But what I would love to, just walk you through is how do I do it? I'm not saying that this is the only way. I want to start with that. I'm saying that this is the way I do it. And that's all I can ever really share because I can't share something that I don't do. Okay. So for me, whenever I'm looking at business planning, it's what Dan outlined. I mean, I look at where I'm at right now. Where are you at in your business? I want you to write that down. Where am I? And when you write down where am I, what I mean is, how many loans have you closed this year? What is your income this year? How many team members do you have this year, right now? Simple items like that. So we have to start with something really, really simple, okay, when we're looking at planning for next year. Now, I want to be really clear about something too. This year, I did not plan for this year, okay? Like those stats that Dave put up on the screen, as incredible that is, and then we can all high five each other all we want, that's fake. Just telling you, it's fake. I'm not dissing you. If you're like, what? I'm having my best year ever. Me too, man. But I'm telling you, it's like plastic surgery. It was instant and it was amazing. Okay. So I have gone backwards in my business 4 times in the last 11 years, and I have it all tracked on a graph right here. I look at it all the time. Okay. Because I never accomplish all my goals in a given year. So I want you guys all to write that down too. You will never accomplish everything you want to accomplish as fast as you think. Okay, write that down. You will never accomplish everything you want to accomplish as fast as you think. But then underneath that, also write down, but you will accomplish way more than you can ever dream of over time. Way more. Like I look at my 1-year goals constantly. I break them down, and I'm going to get into this on how I break them down into bullet points in all different areas of my life. You can see here on this page, these are my goals for 2020. I have them everywhere I go, and I look at them, and I get to the end of the year and I start crossing off the ones that I did do. Okay. And I circle the ones that I didn't do that I still want to complete. Right. And I cross off ones that I didn't do that I'm like, I don't really want to do that anymore. Right. So you're never going to accomplish everything you want in a year. I never have. Right. But I've always accomplished way more. When I look back 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and I look at what happened, it's always way bigger, right, than I thought it would be. So you have to be very patient when you're doing this stuff. So for me, I always start with where I'm at right now. And I do this for both personal and professional. I know we're focusing on just business planning, but it's really simple. So number one is look at your numbers from the year. Look at how many people you've hired, okay, how many people you have, etc. That is the most important part. Okay. From there, what I do is I do what's called a SWOT analysis. So Dan, are you familiar with the SWOT analysis?
I am, yes.
Okay.
Strengths, weaknesses.
Yep. So that was a softball, just so you guys know. I knew that Dan knew that what a SWOT analysis was, right? But my point is that he does it too, right? So it's strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? And I can give you guys a really simple, if you don't have one, a piece of paper that says SWOT, has 4 different quadrants. And I look at where I'm at right now, and then I do a SWOT analysis, okay? And so if you have a team, by the way, if you have loan officer assistants or people that you work with, you want to do a SWOT analysis with them. Huge mistake people make though, do it yourself first. Don't make the team do the SWOT analysis. Do it yourself first, and then do it with your team members to see where your alignments are, and to also understand maybe where your gaps are or their gaps are in your alignment within your own organization. Okay, it's very, very, very important. So I take a look at strengths. So a strength that I could say, like right now, for example, is I have the most dialed in operations team that I've ever had. Strength. Speed is a strength of mine. Okay. Being more and more relational and less transactional. I'm always trying to get better. That's a strength of mine. Current client referrals is a huge strength of mine. Getting getting referrals from clients I'm currently working with. These are all strengths, right, that I look at. Weaknesses. I'm going to be a walking contradiction, y'all. because that's what we are. We all are. So I just said relational is a strength. I would say on weaknesses is that I'm still way too transactional. Okay, I'm still way too transactional. And that is a factor of a number of different items. Number one is that I've been thrown back into being transactional because of overwhelm in 2020. Okay, I started to drift more and more away from really trying to pour in relationally to everyone I'm working with because of sheer volume, right? And I want you to write this down on a side note. I'm going to keep doing this, saying, hey, write this down, okay? So I want you to write this down. Transactional equals what can I get? And relational equals what can I give? Okay, so I want to be relational with the people I work with, the people I serve, the people that I get to call customers, right? Transactional is what you get. Relational is what can you give? So I look at some weaknesses, right? Understaffed, okay? We should be staffed on our team. Okay, and I'm not going to go into branch metrics, and there's all these different metrics of staffing, but really simply, for you as a loan officer, from a staffing perspective, to keep a good life and to create a good experience, we should have 1 staff member per 6 closed transactions per month. Okay, so a really easy calculation, and I do this when I'm looking at my numbers, right, is that if I have closed 500 units year to date, okay, closed 500 units year to date, and I have 6 LOAs, you divide 500 by 6, right? And what is that number? Because I'm not that good at math. Let me see. 500 divided by 6 is 83, divided by 12 is 6.9. I am slightly understaffed, okay? I'm slightly understaffed right now for the units that I'm doing. So that means I have to look at hiring for next year, right? I have to look at hiring, adding an additional person if I want to keep the run alive, right, of where I'm going right now. So I do a SWOT analysis. I look at my weaknesses. I look at opportunities, right? Where are the opportunities moving forward? For me personally, like I think there are opportunities in business referrals is I think my biggest opportunity that I have. Business people, financial planners, CPAs, things that I've ignored, right? I think that realtors are an opportunity. I think that your database is an opportunity, right? I think that refinances will continue to be an opportunity. Those are some opportunities that I would jot down. Now, threats are things that we have to really, really be careful of, right? So what are some threats? Interest rates could go up 1%. Then the refinances go away, right? Some other threats could be losing staff is my number 1 threat, just so you know. Losing staff. That is by far the number 1 threat. Is that you lose staff, you can't do more loans. Okay, it's just a fact. You just can't. So keeping my people healthy, right? Making sure they're healthy. That's a big threat. So you go through and you do the SWOT analysis, right? And you identify some areas that you need to pay attention to. Now, once I've done that, then I like to work on something called a 1, 3, 5 year vision. Okay, and I want to talk about the mistakes I've made doing this and then how to do it correctly. So a 5-year vision is the most fun exercise that you can do, in my opinion, because you give yourself the chance to dream and kind of vision cast what you want to do out in the future. The mistake that we usually make and that I've made a ton in the past is that when I do a 5-year vision and then I start to chunk it down on, well, what does that look like in 3 years on the way to the 5-year? And then what does that look like this next year? Is that my actions, because I come up with an action plan, they aren't congruent with what the goals are, right? There's incongruency. So we have to make sure that we are looking at a 5-year vision, action plan that's congruent with it. And if they're not congruent, we have to make adjustments. We have to look at it and go, oh, that doesn't match up, right? If I say that I want to have, a $2 billion branches like region, and I want to continue to do $100 million plus personal production, but I have no actions to hire, 10 loan officers a year, that's not congruent, right? Or if I say that I'm just going to focus only on real estate agents and there's nothing in my plan to grow branches or team members or hire more operational people, it's not congruent. Okay, so you have to reverse engineer it backwards with what your vision is. Now, whenever I'm looking at what I want to do this year, you have to get really specific, but keep it super simple. Okay, so everything that I just outlined to you sounds a little abstract, right? And you're like, okay, great. So I understand how I have to feel, how I have to cast vision, et cetera, but how do I figure out what my numbers should be? And this is the equation that I use. And I think Dan might use this. I don't know. I'd love for you to chime in too, Dan. But for me, I'm always looking just to increase my business 10 to 20% per year. Okay. I'm just looking to increase my business 10 to 20% per year. So when you look at where you're at right now and where you want to go, don't try to double. I'm just telling you, don't. Because if you just went up 10 to 20%, let's say 20% a year, how long would it take you to double, Dan, if you just went up 20% a year?
Few years, handful of years.
3 years.
Yeah.
It's not that long, you guys. And we just want it all right now. Remember, I said at the beginning, we're never going to accomplish everything we want in the short time frame that we want to. We won't, but we'll accomplish way more than we ever thought if we just keep going, right? So I've doubled. Let's see, I have it right here. Let me see. How many times have I doubled? I have doubled 1, 2, 3 times in my 12 years of tracking it. Okay. Now, each time after I doubled, I went backwards. Okay. Why is that, Dan?
Too big, too fast.
It's not sustainable, you guys. Okay. It's not sustainable to double and double and double and double. You just can't. At least I can't. Right. So it's not sustainable. So it's great, but we have to make sure that when we're looking at our goals, that if you double and then you go backwards, that you're not losing. Okay. It's a natural progression that happens. All right. So what I do is I write down what my current taxable income is. Okay. This is a very simple 1-year business plan. Okay. So this year it's going to be around 5 mil. Okay. So current taxable income. Now remember, that has multiple different streams of income. It has branch profits. It has my personal production. It has all kinds of stuff in there. It's not just, loans. Number 2 thing that you have to do is write down your current units, like I said. Okay. Write down your current units, 500. Number 3 is I write down how many staff members I have. Right? So you want to write down how many staff members I have. So I have 8 if I'm including my executive assistant. The next one is writing down what are my current business expenses. Okay, what are my current business expenses? Right? So I'm not going to tell you what my current business expenses are because it's a branch and branches and branches. I will tell you actually just because I have to now. But it's not going to be yours. I'll tell you that for the most part. Okay, so it costs about $150,000 a month, right, for me to run all of my expenses. So knowing your expenses is very important. Most of us don't. Right, go back and know what your expenses are. How much do you pay for an LOA? How much are you spending on Zillow or ads? Mortgage Coach, include all those expenses so that you know how much does it cost for you to run your business, meals and entertainment, etc. Any type of marketing that you're doing, staff cost. Okay. Next thing I always do is I look at my sources of business and what they are. Now I want to pause here for a second because this all has to do with tracking your business throughout the year. So if you don't have all of these numbers dialed in, don't let that stop you from filling this out. Okay. Use your best guesses. Try to put the numbers together as best as you can. Look at your closings and try to figure out where did they come from. Okay. And use your best guesses, right? So my sources of business are pretty simple. It's realtors. Okay. It's current clients, current client referrals, past client referrals, past clients, business people, and loan officers. That's where all of my income comes from, right? All my loans, where they come from. Number 6, what I write down is, what is my biggest current weakness? Okay, what's my biggest current weakness? So for me, it's taking care of my referral sources. I think that is my biggest weakness, is that. It's my second biggest threat, but it's definitely my biggest weakness right now this year. It's taking care of my current business referral partners. Okay. Number 7 is that I look at what my net income per transaction is. And that's a very easy calculation. You just take your year-to-date income and you divide it by how many loans you've closed, and you'll figure out how much do you make per loan. Okay, so I make right around $56.80 per loan. Okay, so you have to know how much you make per loan. Number 9 is, how many hours am I currently working? Right? I think Dan is way more balanced than I am, for the record, and I admire that about him, and I have to work on it. Okay. How many hours a week do you work, Dan?
I'm about 40.
Good for you, buddy. Yeah. So I'm not. Okay. I'm about 60.
Okay.
And I want to work on that. I really, really do. So I'm currently, if I'm being really honest, and be honest when you fill this stuff out, right? Like, what are you really working? Count the 2 hours on the weekend that you're sending emails or pre-approval letters, or you log on for an hour at night, or you're not paying attention to your spouse or your kids and you're texting people back. Like, that's working when you're at home, right? So I count everything. I'm about 60 hours a week. And then you want to have your average mortgage loan amount. Okay, $486,000 for me. It's my average loan amount. Okay. So whenever we're going to look at planning, what was the percentage I said we should grow every year, Dan?
10.
10. Keep it super simple.
Yep.
Okay, it should be 10 to max 20. I will tell you, in unicorn years, like this year, I just want to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to try just keep the run alive. And how do I replicate this? Even if the market were to go down 30%, that's my mindset personally.
Yep.
But for the purposes of doing this and scaling it out in the future and doing it over and over again, 10%, right? So this is where I start to write down of where I will be.
Hey, time out, Jeremy. I want to just jump in, because I think that's a really important note that everybody listens to right now, and it gets clear on. I mean, these guys who have got to 100 million, they didn't go from 50 to 100. Someone does, but there was incremental growth. They didn't go from 20 to 50 in a year. You know, it's 10% per year, rigorous planning. And then I want you to hear, because Jeremy did this last year. I remember in 2019, I had a question. I'm like,
Yep.
Jeremy, what's your goal? And he closed 299 loans in 2019. And his goal for 2020, and he was super clear about it, 300.
One more loan.
Yeah, one more loan, because it wasn't a unicorn year like this, but it was a really exceptional year. So everybody, if you are on a mountain, I want to make sure you heard what he said. My goal is to do the same, even if the market goes down 30%. And here are some projections from the NBA. They're expecting purchases to actually increase by about 10%, and they're expecting refis to decrease by like 40%, even 50%. Like, when I actually looked at the number, we're going to do about 1.9 trillion in refis this year. They're expecting about a little less than $1 trillion. So he wants to do the same, even though that's not going to happen. So I just want to make sure everybody is. I just don't want people to run past that, Jeremy. Anyways,
Yeah,
dude, you're killing it. I'm taking lots of notes. For those of you in the community that are commenting and engaging and liking, keep doing that. If you do have questions, put them in. We'll either get them
Please
answered
do.
in this conversation. So keep the comments and questions coming. Keep going, bro.
Good. Excellent. Thank you. So now we're looking at 2021, right? And these are all simple forms that we're happy to provide for you, by the way. They are not complicated at all. They're very simple forms that we can provide for you. We'll get them into the mortgage coach community and so that you guys can have access to all of these. And they're so simple and easy to follow. Okay, I'm just reading mine that I filled out, right? So my 2021 projected business income, I left it at the same, right? I left my units as the same. So number one is my taxable income will be, and you write that down. Okay, so let's say that you're making $100,000 right now and you do want to grow 10%, you would write down $110,000. Okay, keep it really, really simple. I want to stay the same, so I kept my number the same, 5 mil. Okay, my units will be, I put the same number of unit count because I want to try my best just not to go backwards. Okay, because I've never doubled, which I did this year, and not gone backwards. So it's a new challenge for me. I'm like, how can I not go backwards, right? I want to try, I want to attempt that and give my best effort, right? So I will need a number of staff members. So remember, this is just whatever units you wrote down in number 2, my units will be. And then the number 3 is how many staff people you will need essentially. So all you're going to do is take that number in number 2 and divide it by 6. This gives you a really easy way to understand like how many people you need to hire to accomplish your goals. It's so simple. And by the way, I've been challenged by all kinds of crazy Excel analytical people about this all the time. And then we always get back to my number, just so you know, every single time. Like it's not sustainable otherwise. It's a sustainable staffing model. That's what I want you to take away. It's a sustainable staffing model, right? Where you can give a great experience every time. So if you want to close, 120 loans next year, you just take 120 and divide it. That's, what is that? 10 loans a month. So you're basically going to need 2 staff people, right? You need 2 staff people to do that. So that it's really, really simple. So you'll know who to hire and who to look for. Number 4 is that my business expenses will be, okay? And I want to keep my business expenses the same. So I just wrote down the same number, right? It's important, once again, to know, especially if you're business planning, how much you're going to budget to spend in the next year. It's another huge mistake I've made in the past where I'll increase my business by 10% in my goal. And then I look back and I increased like my cost budget by like 35%. So I didn't make any more money. I literally just increased for ego and then I spent it all. Like it's the dumbest thing ever. So being mindful about your money and your budget is super, super, super important. Okay. Underneath that, number 5 is that my new sources of business will be. Okay. So this is just writing down where you want your percentage of loan closings. Where do you want them to come from? Right? Because if you know where you want them to come from, it's easier to drill down on the tactics that you actually need to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Okay, so I want 50% of my transactions to come from past clients and current client referrals. That's a huge change for me, by the way. Okay, I want 50% of my business next year. I'm really, really, really going to be focused on the clients. I've been so focused on just the referral sources for the last 8 years, however long, that I think that I could maybe keep this run alive or even increase by just focusing on getting even more referrals and transactions from the current people that I'm working with. I've been super focused on it. Okay. That doesn't mean you need to do that, by the way. This is where you want your business to come from. You might say that I want 80% of my referrals to come from real estate agents. That's totally fine too. Okay, this is just knowing what you want so that you can plan appropriately with your activities. Number 6 is I will improve on. So this is where I'm looking at my biggest weakness, right? Which my weakness up above was taking care of my referral sources. That could be clients that refer me, realtor partners, anyone. So what I will improve on is honoring my referral sources, making a bigger deal out of it. Making a big deal. Think about this for a second, Dan, Todd, Dave, everyone who's watching. Like I told you that my average commission is $5,680, right, per transaction. And people literally give us opportunities every day. Here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go. Every time you get a lead, you're like, oh, it's $5,000. Holy crap. That's potentially $5,000. That's $5,000. Like, we need to take that way more seriously because we are way overpaid. Okay. And so what we need to do is make sure that we are getting compensated for what we're delivering, right? We have to, that's why good advice is so important to me, right? Great advice is so important to me. Like, we have to make sure that we're honoring these referral sources and taking it very, very seriously because we're so highly compensated. Okay. My yearly save, now underneath that, it says my net income per transaction will be, once again, mine's the same, but all you do to get your net transaction per income is you take your average loan amount and you multiply it times your basis points that you're paid. It's very, very simple. So if your average loan amount is 100,000 and you make 150 basis points, that would be 1,500, right? Is going to be what your transaction income is. Now, under this on number 8, it says my yearly savings will be 20% of my taxable income. I believe that you all need to save 20% of your income, period. If you're watching this and you wash cars for a living, which I know this is mortgage related, but I would tell you the same thing. If you save 20% of your income every month for a long period of time, you will be able to retire and not have to worry about it. It doesn't matter how much money you make. I'm telling you, and I know someone out there right now is going, easy for you to say, Jeremy, easy for you to say. You may, I know plenty of people who have had way more money than I do that lose it all, okay, really fast. And it's because they don't save, okay, and they make bad decisions. So it's just about saving. Okay, so save 20%. I write it down every year. I will save 20% of my taxable income. Write down that number, what it will be, right? Because then you can figure out how much do I need to save average monthly. Then it's easy to track. Then it's easy to hit your goals by the end of the year if you're breaking it down like that. But 20% is the goal always, okay? My new sales price mortgage amount will be, this is you projecting a little bit, right? This is you being the expert, knowing like, do I want to target maybe different types of homes? Do I want what do I want to do? I kept mine the same, right, at 486. Okay, I just kept mine the same to keep it simple. So that is a very simple overview of how I do my 1-year business plan. And then we can dialogue here for a couple minutes, and then I can talk about how do I extract what I actually need to do from that. So Dan, any comments, questions? Dave, do we have any questions in the group? Todd, anyone need any clarification on anything?
Let me jump in real quick and just point one thing out, right? I just love the fact that, Jeremy, you said over and over and over, keep it simple, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you all have to remember. Most people think business planning, think some big, thick 30-page thing, and you just keep it simple. So I think that's really key. And I think the other thing is you know your numbers, right? And I think knowing your numbers is really critical. And, you know, they're going to provide the forms. That'll be something easy for you to use. Obviously, Win by Noon is a great tool for that. It's designed to sit on your desk and be able to actually record activity and record results as you go through it. So I think through those two things, be simple and then actually know it all, track it so that you have more. And I'll hand it back over to you, Dan.
Well,
Yeah,
real quick before Dan, if you don't mind.
Yep.
So guys, in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group, there's a files section, and there's all kinds of documents, all kinds of PDFs. You can search. You can do searches for things that you're looking. So it's a gold mine of resources. We will put the forms that Jeremy referred to, but I also can't emphasize enough. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of Win by Noon users in here, and it is a great planner. The thing I love about it is it incorporates everything that Jeremy and Dan already do, but there's also a realtor version. So I do recommend that not only do you do business planning for yourself, and this call is all centered around how do you do business planning as a mortgage professional if you want to be an elite professional like Jeremy and Dan, but you want to play that forward. You should have realtors that you're sharing your plans with. You have their plans. Win by Noon has a planner that helps you partner and do that. And even if, you know, like I know a lot of top producers they're practically coaches to their realtors. They have informal and sometimes formal coaching relationships. Even if you're a new loan officer in the business, find a really hungry new realtor that wants to do business planning with you. The more you can create opportunities to lead, opportunities to keep you accountable, and you could do that with your referral partners, It's magic.
Yeah.
You know, I know Jeremy, he's got just a crew of realtors that are like, would die for him, you know, would like literally do anything. He could screw up a deal. He's still going to have them because he's a business planning partner to them. He's a mentor and a leader. And guys, that didn't happen in a year. That happened over the course of a decade.
Mhm.
So anyways, I just wanted to share that. Check out Win by Noon. The forums will be there. Keep commenting, guys, for the one loan officer that said some nice things about Win by Noon. Thank you for that. Dan, your turn.
Yeah, I hope everyone listening understands how valuable what the information that Jeremy's sharing right now is. It's so valuable. Guys, I experienced it in 2015. And one of the things that attracted me so much to Jeremy when I first met him was that he and I shared common chord before mortgage. He was a professional strength and conditioning coach, just like me. And that's what I did for a career. And I absolutely loved it. And I know Jeremy, he was passionate about it as well. But one of the things that I think as a strength and conditioning coach or a personal trainer, when you're training athletes and bodybuilders and people to lose weight, you track everything. You track everything down to the drink, the calories in their drinks, in their foods, their meals, their snacks, how many hours, how many minutes they're on a treadmill, how many calories they're burning on a treadmill, what they're doing in the weight room. Everything is tracked for someone just to lose weight. We're talking about a career. Jeremy threw out a number that is just is incredible. $5 million a year in income. You better believe that he tracks everything. $1 million a year, $100,000 a year in income. You have to track your numbers. You have to know your numbers. So piggybacking on what Todd said, I wanted to give you that example because there's no surprise that Jeremy is doing the numbers that he's doing. There's no surprise now after in 4 years of being involved and coaching with Jeremy and being involved with guys like Jeremy that I'm now doing the numbers that I'm doing. And so you got to track your numbers. You got to know your numbers. One of the things, and I'm going to, this is a great transition because I know what Jeremy is going to talk about next in regards to 3 and 5 year planning. The one thing in 2016, when Jeremy coached me, he got me to do one thing, and it was to think bigger, faster. Think bigger, faster. And he didn't have me do this assignment, but he showed me his assignment. And he, at the time, showed me his 5-year vision. And I would love for you, Jeremy, to share it with the community in the comments. But what it wasn't this crazy bullet pointed.
Right.
It was an emotional, it was a 1-page typed document that literally brought me to tears. It literally made me tear up reading it because he was so crystal clear on how his life would look in 5 years with his business, with his wife, with his kids, with his savings, with his branch, with his team, how he was managing and coaching his people. And I was like, holy shit, I am completely missing the bar here. I'm not doing this. Like, I don't know where I want my family to be. I want my family to be great. I want to have a great marriage. It's one thing to say that, put it in writing. And I can't wait for you to share the 3-year and the 5-year because that one exercise completely changed my life and my business.
Awesome.
So Jeremy,
Yeah.
before you go, there was another takeaway I wanted to make sure people didn't run past. And when Jeremy talked about the amount of income that he makes on a loan and how well paid we are, and he said, and that is why advice and giving every family a total cost analysis, it's like he's doing it as a competitive advantage. He's doing it to save time, but he's doing it because it builds his confidence and his clarity and everything about it. And when you do something like that, and yeah, I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach, but I believe with all my heart that if you are not giving a family a total cost analysis, you can't be your best. You can be good, you can be great, but you can't be your best unless that family gets a TCA. And you certainly didn't serve that family at the highest level. They did not get options. They did not get cost over time. If a strategy made sense, they didn't get it. You are not serving that family at the highest level. So I advocate for everybody that you want to be the best. You want to be your best. You got to have that great point of sale experience, and your advice needs to make a difference. So Jeremy, go ahead, and we got about 10 more minutes. If this call goes long, I don't have a hard stop. And this is magic. Like, I'm getting text messages, how amazing this is. Like, this is a magical call. So take as much time as you want or as much time as you have. And what do you got next?
let me look at how much time I have. How about that before I am good. All right. Yeah, it's all good. I'm good. So, I'm gonna take a slight turn. Okay. So the slight turn is that we just did a 1-year business plan that is just numerical based, right? It's numbers, and that is where you should start. The slight turn I'm going to take now is that whenever I'm doing my business planning, I don't look just at work. Okay. And you shouldn't look just at work. I look at 7 different areas of my life. Okay. And I keep it super simple. So I use something called a wheel of life. Where are you now and where you will be? And I'm going to explain it quickly, just for the sake of time. But basically, the wheel of life looks like this. I will show you. Here's mine. Okay, it's this. It's like yeah, I can see it. There we go. So it is basically these different spokes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 6. I always say 7. I don't know why. So there are these different areas of our life: work, spirituality, money, love life, family, and we're looking at all these different areas. And the dot in the middle is basically you, and then there's 10 little dashes that go out to the end. And a 10 would be perfect. It couldn't be better. It's absolutely incredible. Bliss, ecstasy, nothing could ever get better, right? And what I do is I go through and I first fill out this form that says, where are you now? And it basically says, list your 2 biggest struggles in each area. So work, list your 2 biggest, work struggles, right? And then it asks you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. At work. So like I wrote down staffing, right, including LOs, engagement systems are not up to the volume that we're doing. Those are my 2 biggest work struggles. Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 at work. I gave myself a 5. So I want to say that again. I gave myself a 5. Okay. I am making way more than I ever dreamed, honestly, could ever happen. And what I realize is the better and better I do, the more I don't know. Okay. The more I have to grow. So when you're doing these things, be really honest with where you're at. Okay. And always give yourself a room to grow. Okay. So when I first filled this out, and you do this for all these different areas: money, love life, family, spirituality, friends, self. Okay. And you're going to write down these 2 struggles in each area, and you're going to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. Then you go to your visual wheel, and this is why you rate them from 1 to 10. If I was a 1, 2, 3, 4 in my money, I circle it, right? The number 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I circle the 4. And then you go out and you put all the numbers where you at, and you circle the corresponding dash mark, okay, from the center. And then you try to connect the dots, right? So this looks like a square, okay? That's not a wheel. So that means I'm not very balanced. With that said, this is the most balanced I've ever been, right? When I look at this. So when I first started doing this, what do you think it looked like, Dan? The first time I ever did this?
It probably looked like mine, and it was kind of like a triangle,
Mine,
a star.
mine looked like a ninja star. Like
Yeah,
it could kill
yeah,
you if
yeah,
someone threw it at you, right?
yeah.
It would literally penetrate your neck and you would die. Like I thought I was an 8 in some areas and I was a 0 in some area. Like it was just all over the place, right? So doing this over and over and over again has got me more grounded and more focused. Now, what I do after this is that I fill out the where I will be. Okay, so this form, which once again, we're going to send all this, okay, where I will be. And this is where I want to be, okay, at the end of next year. This is what brings clarity when I'm creating, not just for next year, but for the 3-5 year. Okay, so let's talk about the biggest mistake when you're doing this, by the way. Dan, what do you think the biggest mistake is that people make when they are talking about what they're going to accomplish next year or in the future?
The biggest mistake they make when planning, I think maybe setting too big, unrealistic.
Okay, so that's not it. I'll tell
Okay.
you what it is. It's too broad.
Mm,
Okay, it's too broad. So whenever I do this exercise with my loan officers, I do this with all my LOs, okay, every year. They'll say something like, under work, where I'll be next year, and they'll be like, do more loans. I want to do more
Yeah.
loans, right? You have to get really, really, really specific here, right? So rather than do more loans, it's I will help 300 families,
Okay.
right? Very specific on the numbers, right? I will hire 20 loan officers, I wrote down, right? Get really, really, really specific. If you read it and you can't 100% understand what it means, or if you read it as if you were giving someone else advice and you're like, I don't know what that means. Dan, could you tell me more? Like, what does grow your branch mean? What does that mean? Because you don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So if we write down broad things, right? If we aim big, we miss big. If we aim small, we miss really, really small. So you have to aim small. Okay. Get really, really, really specific with the things that you're going to do. Write down exactly how much money you'll save. I wrote down how much money I will give. I want to give away $300,000, right? So that's a very specific number, right, on what I will give so I can be held accountable to it. Now, once you have all this stuff done, okay, my all-time favorite exercise is the 5-year story. So people call it 5-year vision. I call it the 5-year story. I'm going to skip the 3-year and I'll explain why. Okay, so 5-year is my favorite. So what I do is I write a paragraph for each areas of this wheel. So I write a quick paragraph about work, a quick paragraph about money, a quick paragraph about love life, quick paragraph about family, quick paragraph about spirit. I address all of these things, okay, in paragraph form. And this is where we can dream a little bit. I'm going out 5 years, okay? So I have redone this 3 times in the last 5 years. Okay, so think about that for a second. I did a 5-year dream vision on this is what I want my life to look like and work and all this stuff, but I've redone it 3 times. Why have I redone it 3 times, Dan? What do you think?
Yeah, because you're growing, you're readjusting, you're probably readjusting kind of where you want to be. You're learning, you're growing every single day, just like me, still where you're at. So adjusting course.
So here's the real reason why. He's right. There's truth in what Dan's saying. But number one, I read this every day.
Mm.
I look at it every day. I have a copy of it right here. It sits right here. Just a little piece of paper behind my desk. I have one on my mirror, one where I brush my teeth at home. I have one in my backpack so that when I pick up my computer and I just, oh, I see it. I glance at it, right? So I carry this with me wherever I am. And what happens about every 2.5 years is as I'm reading it, I start to go, wait a second, I've accomplished like 80% of this already. And I'm 2.5 years in, right? And that's when I readjusted. Okay. But reading it, making sure you really internalize this will help you focus on the right things every single day, and it will keep you mentally engaged and on course. So I'm going to read you guys my 5-year vision so that you guys can get an idea of what it sounds like. All right. So remember, I'm taking the where I will be in my business planning form, and I'm just writing I'm doing some dreams, what I want it to look like in 5 years. Okay. So here's how it starts. It's January 1st, 2025. We just finished our best year ever. My purpose and driving force in life is to be the most authentic human I can be, leading others to greatness through sharing my pain and life lessons, and being an amazing support system and role model for my kids. So remember, this is 2025. This is 5 years out. Okay. My wife and I fall in love over and over again each day. She's my number one client and partner in life. She's the best mom around and is the glue for our family. Kara's still president of the Birdies for Books Foundation and continues to donate a lot of her time to the library, making sure all kids learn to enjoy reading. She's in incredible shape. I never thought she would be a gym rat. I'm 44 years old this year and I look forward to 45. I continue to grow and learn more each year, and I am truly blessed and fired up on what life has to offer moving forward. My son Cody's 24 years old and settling into life with his girlfriend. Can't believe it. Skylar is turning 22 this year and getting ready to leave for law school at the University of Chapman. Mia is 18 and getting ready for her internship on The Ellen Show. She shocks me daily with her emotional intelligence. I went on 3 one-week vacations this year, including a trip to Italy for 10 days, Mexico for 7 days, and spring training golf trip to Arizona. Ironically, I too am in the best shape of my life as well. I've lost 25 pounds over the last 5 years, and I do Peloton 3 days a week, lifting weights 2 times per week with my trainer. I meditate and pray every day, asking for forgiveness and strength. I've built my lending team to 10 loan officer assistant twos, LP2s, 5 LP1s, those are LOAs too, and 10 team loan officers. I continue to average 30 closings per month personally, and my team LO is averaging 5 closings per month, totaling 90 closings for $40 million per month. I have successfully recruited and supported run operations for over $2 billion a year in fundings from 100 loan officers for their branches. I've been a coach at the core for the last 14 years and love it. Coaching is fulfilling for me, and I love the opportunity to help broken men and women just as I am broken. Helping them through the challenges they face brings me pure joy. I just passed 10 million in the bank and I'm officially financially secure, but I have only scratched the surface. 2025, my income was 2.5 million LO income, branch 4 million income, core 200,000, Jeremy Forcier. Okay, so casting out and dream. Remember, this is the 3rd time I've done this, because every time I do it and I read it over and over again and I look at it every day, you just accomplish your goals. You won't do it as fast as you think, but it will be more bigger and faster than you could ever imagine as you go out. So I highly recommend that everyone does this exercise and you carry it with you wherever you go. Okay. Any questions about that? Dan, Dave, Todd?
Wow.
Community?
I am speechless. This call has been spectacular. Absolutely one of the best calls we've done in all of 2020. Possibly one of the best calls we've ever had on the Mortgage Coach community, bro. So thank you for your transparency.
Yeah.
We do have some questions in
Cool.
chat. I want to let Dan and Todd respond. I do have one thing I want the community to consider, and I'm not here to say I think you need to take the 7 to 8. I would just tell you that I am like, star, we've heard it before in life planning that there's these other areas of their life. And personally for 2021, I have a new one. It's called leadership. I am convinced that leadership is a category of life all on its own. And as I look at the most successful loan officers in America that are building teams, that are doing incredible things, it's because they're great leaders. And I don't, I've become a Jocko Willink fanboy. I listened to his podcast. I've read his book, Extreme Ownership. I interviewed Jocko many years ago, early on, but I think leadership, and I'm going to push everybody who's listening to this, I want you to make an 8th,
I love
leadership.
It's killer.
And I, to kick off 2021, I am going, my wife hasn't told me I can't do it yet, but I have a plane flight, a hotel room, and I'm going to Dallas on December 3rd and 4th with my son, Jack. And we're going to Jocko Willink's muster, which is just a 2-day leadership retreat. But I want to just push everybody, add leadership, and then do some things to develop as a leader, read some books and make that a category. So that's my one add to what you shared, Jeremy. But I'm going to work on my 5-year vision. You inspired me, bro. I appreciate that transparency. Dan, anything you want to add? And then I'll hand it off to Todd.
Yeah. I mean, there's no surprise, right? Everyone listening. I mean, come on, there's no surprise. Jeremy's where he's at. There's no surprise. I mean, I look at just what I wrote a few years ago and what I'm doing right now. There's no surprise. If you see what we do and the energy that we put into, our business and our tracking and the accountability, that's why. I think, Jeremy, that form, that paragraph, that 5-year vision is probably will go down in my life as one of the key things that I did as a business person, as a husband, and as a father. And I will add this, have your kids do it. Have your wife do it. I've done it with my wife. We actually take, if any of you guys follow me on social media, we go away every November and we do this for our family. And I almost get emotional talking about it because it's made such a huge impact in my life, not only my business. We're here to talk about business, but in my life. And I'm so grateful to Jeremy. I'm so grateful to the core and the coaches that have poured into me, that have taught me how to do this. But you changed my life, man, with that form. I love you, and I just love learning from you, man. You're a great example.
Well, thanks. That's nice of you to say. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I can answer any questions. I'm happy to stay on if you'd like, Dave or Todd, or we could wrap it up. One last thing that I just want to say when it comes to your 1 year, I know we talked about the income and how to figure out hiring and all of that. Keep it really, really, really simple. Okay. As I told you, I just create a Word doc form. It says goals for 2020. This is what I create at the end of the year every year. And it just has bullet points on it that are very specific. Okay. So this was last, I haven't done 2021 yet, but like number one on mine was hire 20 loan officers. Right. And then once again, I print this and they're everywhere, you guys. I'm not messy as a person. It looks like it's messy back here because it's these things that are everywhere. Okay. I print this stuff and look at it, hire 20 loan officers, work on my sales test monthly, right? I grow all the branches to 20 units minimum per month, generate 100 leads per month, convert 50% of my leads. These are just the bullet points that I look at every day so that I'm focused on the right things when I'm taking a look at what I want to accomplish. So keep it simple. Don't create some crazy 45-page business plan that you're never, ever, ever going to do, right? Just focus on what's going to move the needle, keep it in front of you all the time, and execute on it daily.
So Todd, I got a couple of questions to ask these guys. We're going to let this go no more than 15 minutes, guys. So I'm going to pull the plug in 15 minutes. Either way, we got 11 minutes to go. Todd, any closing thoughts you have before we go into the Q&A section and I ask my first question?
Well, I would just say, the number one thing you should all take away is the fact that Jeremy and Dan are both planning for business and life. It's right. It's all more than just making money and doing these things. I think that's really great. And I love how transparent you were in sharing. And I think the other part of it is he reads it every day. He's got it everywhere. I oftentimes talk to loan officers and real estate agents or anyone who business plans. And I'm like, well, tell me about your business plan. They're like, oh, let me see if I can find it. Let me dig it out. And the fact that Jeremy's got it everywhere so that he has it and he reads it. I love the fact that it's crossed off. And I just think that that's so critical. So thanks so much for sharing. I'll just pass it off to you, Dave, to start asking those questions.
Okay. And you keep an eye out for questions too. Again, you guys are part of the mortgage coach community. We just did the Modern Mortgage Summit. The people that we invited to that, all are modern professionals. And there's more than just using tech to be modern. But Jeremy, a question that's come up a couple times in the community where new loan officers have said, what are the top tools I should use? Or I had a loan officer the other day that was like in his 6 months in the business. And he goes, oh, I'm going to start using Mortgage Coach when I get to here. And I believe that literally Mortgage Coach is one of the first things you should start doing. But could you validate that? And then for any new loan officers that are listening in, what are the top 3 things that they should do?
Yeah. So number one is use Mortgage Coach for any type of presentations. Legitimately mean that. I've used Mortgage Coach when it was like on DOS, and you probably, so many of you guys are so young you don't know what my joke reference is, but it like you're like, what's DOS? Like it's like old school. It was software like that was like you had to put on your computer and open it up on your desktop. I mean, I've been using it forever when I was brand new in the industry. So use it now. Don't wait. That's a mistake, because whatever you wait on starting to use that's going to benefit you, you're never actually going to do it. I don't believe in waiting on anything that's going to impact me positively. Like, why wait? Don't wait. Yeah. So Mortgage Coach would be number one. Number two would be your phone. Learn how to talk to people, for crying out loud. Okay. Like, would you just shut up with all the texting and would you just call someone, have a real interaction? Okay. Like, don't be afraid. We all think that like we pray to the money god and then the money shows up. It's not true. It's a connection. You have to talk to people. Get comfortable using your phone. Get comfortable using your phone. And then the third would be get comfortable using video for me. Those would be the 3 things if I was a new loan officer that I would do right away. Mortgage Coach, telephone, and video. If I had to add a 4th, I'd say CRM. Have some type of place where you're keeping all your data, keeping your notes, etc., that you can access client information at any time.
I love that. I love that. So and guys, I did an interview with Dan on this yesterday. So it's in the YouTube channel. If you want to hear how Dan answered that question, there's a video. We'll put a link down below. So Mary asked a question in chat, and Todd, if you could be looking for the next question, and you and I will just go back and forth asking them. This one came from Zoom chat. When you say 2 staff members for 120 closed loans annually, 2 LOAs or 1 LOA plus a processor, do you include yourself in that number?
Yep. So listen, I'm going to answer this 2 different ways. Okay. This can get confusing for everyone. Don't overthink it. Okay. You are a person on your team. So include yourself, number 1. Okay. So you are a staff person, right? You're a staff person on your team. So it'd be you plus 1 other person, LOA. I'm not counting a processor. Okay. I'm not counting a processor. This is just a loan officer team. If you want to close 100 loans a year, it should be you plus 1 person, right? That's it. Now, once you get to 15 loans a month, which should be you plus 2 staff people, as you start to get to 20 loans a month, et cetera, the model can get a little bit more overstaffed, and you can have what's called a virtual bench, or a bench where you're hiring other people that you can cross-train and bring in because you're going to have more income and more revenue. I think that being overstaffed is way more important once you've built up to that point than being understaffed and running lean at all times. But to keep it super simple, you are a staff member on your team. We do not count processing, just loan officer assistants, loan partners. Okay. That's the model where you use 6 per. So if you want to close, you're going to close a max of 140, 144 with you plus 1 person. Okay. Max. And then you just need to hire accordingly from there.
Great. Next question.
They're all around that and when they can get the form. So we'll get the forms up there as quick as possible, right, guys?
Yes, no problem.
And we'll also have a link, guys, to win by noon. So a lot of the forms they may look a little different, but it is a comprehensive planning platform and tracking. And here's the deal, guys. I think what you can hear from Jeremy, it doesn't matter. Keep it simple. Pull out a white piece of paper and track your calls, track your lead source, track your conversion, book into your day. Start your day with, what am I going to do? Could be Evernotes on your phone. I use Evernotes. I love Evernotes. I use voice to text, and I'm, planning out my day. So tools matter, but habits matter most. You guys will pick your habits, and your habits will pick your life. And clearly you're talking to 2 leaders that have picked some incredible habits. They're incredible coaches. We will keep this theme going through the end of the year. I have other coaches and top producers that are going to come on and share their business planning tips. We have Josh Metal and Tim Brahim coming in a few weeks. I'm trying to pin down Bill Hart and a leader. So I do think you guys will hear a lot of common threads. And it's going to come down to this closing thought. When people ask me, what's the best CRM? It's the one you use.
The one you use, baby.
It's and the one that integrates with Mortgage
Amen.
Coach. But guys, I know I can only speak for myself here, but I know Jeremy and Dan feel the same way. And Todd, take action, man. We want to hear success stories come in where you came to this call and you did a 5-year plan. You came to this call and you schedule a half a day or a day and you did business planning. You came to this call and you did something with your family. Please share those success stories in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group. Jeremy, 1 minute or less. Any closing thoughts, brother?
Man, just have fun when you do it. Just have fun when you do it as well. But be honest with yourself, I'd say. That's it. That was my closing thought, is be honest as to where you are. And be honest with yourself about what your weaknesses are. I read a book a while ago, which was a good book, that was called Play to Your Strengths or something like that. Marcus something wrote it. I can't remember it. It was a few years back, but it was about going toward your strength. I think that was the name of the book. And it was just focus on your strengths and always build.
Strength Finder, I think it's called.
No.
Yeah, Marcus Buckingham.
Yes, thank you, Marcus Buckingham. Different than Strength Finders, but it was Play to Your Strengths or something like that. And the reality is that it was a great book, and we should always be getting better at our strengths. But really, where I've had all the uptick in my business and life is actually when I'm focusing on my weaknesses, not my strengths. So I would challenge you all to really focus on your weaknesses. Okay. If you're not making a total cost analysis for every single client, I'd probably put that right up as number one on my goals for next year, because it's a huge mistake, giant miss. So focus on where you have weaknesses and get stronger in that. Your strengths are going to get stronger no matter what. So just find out what your weaknesses are and go from there.
Dan Keller, 1 minute or less, closing thoughts.
Yeah, keep it simple. Do it. Just write the business plan, write the 5-year vision, and then what Jeremy does, print that thing off so it's everywhere, and then teach other people that you know how to do this. Teach your realtors, teach other loan officers how to do this. And one last thing, like if you're looking for an accountability partner, you can private message me, write yours out. And I'm not going to volunteer Jeremy for this because I know he mentors a lot of people, but private message me, send it to me, and use this group as an accountability partner. Accountability partner is key. And then the last thing is a consequence. Attach a consequence to it. And I'm telling you, man, this stuff makes a difference, but you gotta follow the simple formula that we all talked about today.
Todd Bookspan, take us home, brother.
You guys just crushed it. I'm so grateful for you all spending the time. My encouragement to you is what Dave just said, take action, right? So this call's will be in the YouTube Mortgage Coach channel shortly. Watch it again. Take the tools that they're going to post up in here and write it on your calendar. Make a commitment to yourself of when you're going to do it. In fact, maybe post it down below the day that you've committed that you're going to write your business plan by, and then do what just Dan said, right? Get an accountability partner. Love the idea of consequences, and just do this. And next year you'll be sending these guys a note thanking them for how they changed your life.
So last thought, guys, hopefully you got value from this. Thank you for an hour and 15 minutes of your time. If you did get value, give it a like in whatever social media platform you're watching it. Share it with your team. I mean, I think this is special enough. If you're a branch manager, play this for your team. Go through it with your team. In Zoom, it's really easy to watch videos together and put them on pause and talk to them. I hope you get value. And guys, say thank you to Dan and Jeremy. You know, if you got value from this and you follow them on social media, private message them. Please remember, guys, these are professional loan officers, professional coaches and leaders. You know, don't expect them to just jump on phones with you and talk, but give them feedback. And as Dan said, you know, private message them if you have questions or comments. This call is a wrap. Guys, you made my day. This will also be added to the best all-time mortgage coach video playlist. It will be added to the top interview, one of the top interviews of 2020. The ones that get liked the most and watched the most will be the best. And I always announce at the end of the year, what are the top 10 interviews of the year? And I'll be surprised if this doesn't make it in that list. Take care, guys. Appreciate it, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, peace, guys.